Welcome to Politics for Patriots. Here's your host, the eviscerator of progressive nonsense, the executioner of imbecility, and the grim reaper of BS, Eddie Zipper.
All right, welcome to episode 65 of the Politics for Patriots podcast. If you're a first-time listener, welcome to the show. Please subscribe on iTunes, and please leave a review of the show on iTunes. I would greatly appreciate it. It would really help me out. Also, listen to old episodes of the show on my website, www.eddiezipper.com. That's www.eddiezipper.com. I highly recommend episode 38, where I came up with Democrat-inspired ice cream flavors to help out Ben & Jerry's. That's my personal favorite episode. But hopefully, number 65 will be one for the ages as well, so let's do it. All right, I want to start by saying, being a Democrat this month is like being the first guest to show up to Michael Myers' Halloween party. I don't want to overstate this, but the Democratic Party just had the worst February of all time. If you are a Democrat, this is sort of your general feeling about the events of February so far.
No, go past this part. In fact, never play this again.
I don't think Democrats have been this upset since Abraham Lincoln won the election of 1860. It's been a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad February for Democrats. If calendars were Etch-a-Sketches, Democrats from sea to shining sea would be shaking the hell out of them, trying to erase February of 2019. Alright, so let's fire up the flux capacitor, hop in the not-so-way-back machine, and travel to the beginning of February. Alright, here is sort of a rundown of what February has been like for Democrats. And a lot of bad things have happened to them. These are just sort of the worst things that have happened to them so far in the month of February. Number one, Democrats lurch left on abortion. Democrats lurch so far left on abortion that they've launched right over advocating for late-term abortion and are now arguing in favor of post-birth abortion. That baby is born, and then we'll have a discussion. We all heard Governor Northam say it, and that left Democrats in a position where they had to tell everybody, you didn't hear what you heard. And I can assure you, you're never in a good position when you're arguing to people you did not hear what you heard. Whenever I do political analysis, I'm always using the Doppler effect. So you can't just look right at things in politics and see them because everybody's trying to hide everything. So what you have to do is use the Doppler effect all the time. This is how astronomers find planets, right? You can't see the planet, but you can see the star that the planet is orbiting. And you can tell the planet is there by the movement of the star. And that's how you can see everything in politics using the Doppler effect. So when Republicans are saying, oh, Ralph Northam said this thing that it's okay to abort a baby after its birth. And Democrats, on the other hand, are saying, no, that's not what he said. No, nobody will ever say that. Nobody believes that. Well, all I have to do is watch the conservative media and watch the liberal media and see which one plays the sound clip. And you know that's who's telling the truth. If they were mischaracterizing what he said, you wouldn't show the sound clip. Alright, so that sort of got the month going for Democrats. Now, horrible thing number two, a yearbook photo surfaces of Governor Ralph Northam, whose name you may remember from the first bullet point 5 seconds ago. All right, a picture surfaces of him dressed in blackface. And I'm going to go into detail on this one. Just try and stop me. Here we go. So the yearbook photo that surfaced shows the Virginia governor either dressed in blackface or in a KKK robe. Nobody knows which one is him. Nobody knew which one was him when it came out, when it was first reported. So, what does Northam do? He apologizes. He says, I'm so sorry for this insensitive picture from 1984, blah, blah, blah. That was all sort of the normal part of the story. So then everyone, after he apologizes, everyone wants to know which person in the picture is him. Hey, are you the one in blackface, or are you the one in the KKK hood? So that was the big question that everyone was asking. Are you in blackface or are you in the KKK robe? And that's when it hits him. Or at least, this is my analysis of the situation. That's when it hits him. Nobody can actually tell that that's me. Suddenly, he decides to say that that's not him. Which is a little bit problematic because he already apologized. And believe me, he didn't just, oh yeah, sorry, without looking at the picture. I mean, he looked at the picture. He knew that was him. All right, if you're a politician, you're not apologizing for something unless you are 150,000% positive that you did it. So suddenly he decides to say that it might not be him, even though it's his yearbook and the rest of the photos on the page are him, even though presumably every picture on everyone's yearbook page in every yearbook across the country is a picture of them. This one suddenly might not be Ralph Northam, mostly because he doesn't want it to be. So he's all of a sudden it's like, can you prove it's me? Okay, then it might not be me. So he says, I looked at the picture, and this looks like a different blackface than the blackface that I did. Okay. Because I did, Northam said, I did do blackface at the Michael Jackson moonwalking contest. So then he holds a press conference to talk about all this, and it's a dead serious press conference, like super sober. Oh my gosh, just a hand-wringing press conference. I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. It's begging for forgiveness. So a reporter asks, can you still moonwalk? And I'm going to walk you through what happened next in super slow motion, okay? I'm John Madden right now, drawing on the screen in yellow marker. This is a dead serious press conference where Northam is confronting the racial insensitivities of his past. The reporter asks, can you still moonwalk? Northam looks to his left, surveying the stage, seemingly asking himself the question, is there room on this stage to get my moonwalk on? Then he looks back up, and he starts nodding his head like, hell yeah, there is. Then he gets this huge excited smile on his face. He is literally about to moonwalk at a dead sober press conference. He looks at his wife, and she explains to him that it would be inappropriate. I can tell you right now, he should have married her before medical school, and maybe there wouldn't be a picture of him in a yearbook dressed in blackface. Now, this whole situation isn't bad for the Democrats just because, it's a Democratic governor and he did blackface in the 1980s. It's bad for the Democrats because Northam ran his entire campaign trying to smear Ed Gillespie as a racist monster, which leaves you feeling like maybe the greater Democratic Party narrative on race and on who's racist is not 100% accurate. Also, the abortion thing had just happened. His comments on abortion had just happened. We just had this huge abortion controversy explode with the Virginia legislation, and you have the conservatives arguing, hey, this guy has a bad moral compass. And you have the Democrats arguing, no, it's conservatives who have a bad moral compass. Next day, look who dressed up in blackface. Look who has this crazy racist looking picture in their yearbook. It's the guy we were just arguing has a problem with his moral compass. And now Democrats who think that everything is, they think it's racist if you ask someone where they're from. Now they're stuck because yesterday they were telling us this guy's moral compass was okay, and today he's done something that on their racism Richter scale is like a 7.5. And as if his moral compass couldn't spin any more out of whack, he apologized. Then he takes back his apology, claiming it's not really him because the blackface that he did looks different from the blackface in the picture. Then the fantastic cherry on top is that he needs somebody to tell him not to moonwalk at the press conference where he's confronting these racial insensitivities. I personally think that he should resign, but I don't think it's because this picture exists. I think that he should resign because he ran a campaign smearing his opponent as a racist without any evidence, and then this picture surfaced. And Democrats are left now, they're trying to run for president. Every Democrat in the country is running for president. There are 9,000 candidates right now in the Democratic Party, and later today 2,000 are announcing their candidacy. So every single Democrat in the country is running for president, and so everyone who has elbowed out room for themselves in the 2020 Democratic clown car comes out and says Northam should resign. Why? Because they all need the far left to vote for them. And you know the motto of the far left.
No, there's no justice like angry mob justice.
But they're not like me. See, I think he should resign because his moral compass is obviously out of whack. I think that he should resign because he smeared someone as a racist with no evidence, and then evidence pops up that he might be pretty racist. See, they think his moral compass is good. They think he should resign because only of the picture. If the angry mob on Twitter gets mad, people should lose their jobs. Whether they did something 30 years ago, 250 years ago, it doesn't matter. You should lose your job and be horribly punished. The left is, the left, they're the Puritans from the Scarlet Letter. Remember that book that your 10th grade teacher tortured you by making you read? That's who the Democrats are. They're all those Puritans in the Scarlet Letter. I mean, that's what they look like. They look exactly like the people in Salem burning people for being witches. Just condemning people. You're a witch! The devil is behind everything in puritanical society, but now it's updated. It's not the devil anymore. It's just isms. It's just racism and sexism. It's just an updated devil. All right, but Northam will never resign, even though all the presidential candidates have asked him to. He won't do it because only Republicans resign in disgrace. Democrats just lower their head and power through. All right, horrible thing number 3. Virginia Lieutenant Governor Fairfax is hit with sexual assault allegations. One at the beginning of the week and a new one yesterday. They're both extremely serious allegations, and this is especially bad for the Democrats, who very recently informed us that we must believe all accusations made by all women at all times. We mustn't ask questions, we mustn't request evidence, we mustn't point out flaws in their stories. We just need to sit there and just believe them no matter what they say. And we must destroy the man in question. The Democratic Party is built upon 0 principles. So they are bound to keep looking stupid and hypocritical just like this. It's obvious to anyone with a brain that nobody should be destroyed without evidence, whether they are Republicans or Democrats or far right or far left. You need evidence to destroy people, even if you don't like their ideas. All right, you can say that we need evidence as long as you're talking about Al Franken. And that seems reasonable to most Democrats, not all. Not the ones who forced him out, Kirsten Gillibrand. But it seems reasonable to most Democrats. And you can say that about Justin Fairfax, and it seems reasonable to most Democrats. Yeah, we need a little bit of evidence. We need to make sure this really happened. Oh boy, but if you were there saying it about Brett Kavanaugh, you were a woman-hating monster, and they were gonna smear you Jackson Pollock style. All right, horrible thing number 4, Virginia Attorney General Mark Herring, second in line to be governor behind Fairfax, admits to dressing in blackface himself. This is the biggest disaster of all for Democrats because the next guy in the Virginia governor line of succession is a Republican. So now this has become Sophie's choice for Democrats. Now they have to either decide that blackface 35 years ago is a forgivable offense, or they have to let a Republican become governor of Virginia. Seriously, Google Trends measures the number of times a search term has been searched for, if you're not familiar with Google Trends. Google Trends shows searches for Virginia governor line of succession hit what appears to be an all-time high this week. If you look at the graph, it's basically a straight horizontal line right at 0 for months, and then a sudden vertical line that goes straight to the top of the graph. Everybody is searching Virginia governor line of succession now, because they want to know who's next after this guy, but this guy and this guy. All right, horrible thing. What are we on, number 5? Horrible thing number 5. Trump totally rocks the State of the Union address, while Democrats in the audience are caught cheering themselves, but not cheering things like record high employment for women, record high employment for African Americans. They're not excited about those things. They are not, even though they claim to care about these people as groups. They're not excited about the success of these groups because Orange Man bad. And that seems to be the most complex thought that people suffering from Trump derangement syndrome are capable of. Orange Man bad. Alright, so why aren't they clapping for these things? Why aren't they clapping when we're talking about people being off food stamps? That's a good thing, isn't it, when people have a job instead of being on food stamps? But Democrats aren't excited about it. It looks like they had no idea there were cameras at the State of the Union. Right? Bernie Sanders got caught looking like he was going to cry when the whole chamber erupted in cheers upon hearing the news that America will never be a socialist country. Bernie, of course, was not happy about that because he thinks bread lines are a good thing. I'm not going to play the sound clip again because I played it last week or the week before, but he thinks bread lines are a good thing. He said so. And he thinks that Cubans love Fidel Castro because Fidel gave them free health care. I've said it before and I will say it again. Bernie Sanders is he's either a dangerously stupid man or a dangerously evil man. Okay, he's the reincarnation of Napoleon the Pig from Animal Farm. And that's all there is to it. Alright, number 6, CNN Instapolls shows State of the Union approval at 76%. And all the disapproval was Democrats. Almost all Republicans approved, and something like 82% of independents approved. So the only disapproval of this speech was from ornery Democrats whose only setting is Orange Man bad. Alright, number 7. And this one is my favorite. Oh, yes. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez introduces the Green New Deal, which describes what we all know are the priorities of the far left, but it may as well describe blueprints for a unicorn ranch to be constructed on the rings of Saturn. All right, you've seen everything that's in it, so I won't drift into the weeds. Well, it's 7 pages long. There aren't really any weeds. But basically, it proposes to do everything people feared the Y2K bug would do, only on purpose. It reeks of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's 3 defining characteristics, which are impatience, lack of knowledge, and overconfidence.
I am not the expert on geopolitics.
There it is right there, the most accurate thing she has ever said. All right, and get used to people like this, because in the 1990s, so many schools in so many places across this country replaced educating with self-esteem building. And now we have a lot of budding adults who not only think that 2 + 2 = rainbow, but you better believe them because they're the best, they're the smartest, and doggone it, people like them. Democratic presidential candidate Cory Booker, in an attempt to suck up to the left, compared the Green New Deal to fighting the Nazis or going to the moon. He said those things were expensive too, but we did them. Cory, Spartacus, it's not like that. All right? It is much more like fighting Nazis on the moon. Right? It is a fictional sci-fi fantasy of epic scale. It reads like the backstory in one of those YA dystopia novels. The Green New Deal is what is called a sense of Congress resolution, which means it's not a law, it's not policy, it's not actually doing anything except saying, hey, you know what, I voted on this, and what that means is that I have a general feeling that these ideas are pretty good ideas in a generalized sort of way. Okay, so all it can really achieve, being a sense of Congress resolution, is to raise awareness and send a message about an issue. So, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez whiffed big time on this.
Just a bit outside.
Because all she has achieved is to damage her career. To show everybody how crazy these ideas are. It's like she said the quiet part out loud. And you never, ever say the quiet part out loud. Speaker Pelosi threw shade all over Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez over this Green New Deal thing. Okay, in a Politico interview, she calls the Green New Deal the Green Dream or whatever. That's a quote. The Green Dream or whatever. Then she leaves Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez off the Climate Change Committee. And this isn't an indirect snub. It's not like the steering committee left AOC off the Climate Change Committee, and I'm just attributing it to Pelosi indirectly. The Climate Change Committee is a select committee, which means that every person on it is handpicked by the Speaker of the House. That's the definition of a select committee. So this is a direct snub of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez by the Speaker, who also called her big Green New Deal the Green Dream or whatever. All right, on to the next one. I don't even know what number it is anymore. I think we're on number 7. All right, number 7 horrible thing for the Democrats this month. A Texas Bar Association form surfaced from the 1980s. Oh, what were Democrats doing in the 1980s, man? It was a bad decade for them. All right, a Texas Bar Association form surfaced from the 1980s showing Elizabeth Warren, a.k.a. Sitting Bullshit, a.k.a.
I'd also like to express my fondness for that particular beer.
A.k.a.
Princess Bubbling Spring that runs in the meadow.
Listing her race as Native American. So when she was holding a press conference about this and apologizing for everything that she had done, a reporter asked her if there were other forms out there where she listed her race as Native American, and here's what she said.
Could there be other documents out there with you self-identifying as American Indian?
So, all I know is during this time period, this is consistent with what I did because it was based on my understanding from my family's stories But family stories are not the same as tribal citizenship, and this is why I have apologized both to Chief Baker, who was...
All right, let me go ahead and offer up a translation for that. Basically, this is what she's saying. When I was starting out in my career, I listed my race as Native American on every single form that I filled out. I thought I could get ahead by cashing in on policies designed to help actual Native Americans. I'm very sorry that people found out about this. Her attempt to deflect this as having anything to do with tribal citizenship, that's just a desperate attempt to muddy the waters. Obviously, it has nothing to do with tribal citizenships. You wrote that your race was Native American. You are white. You have lived the life of a white person. You have experienced exactly 0 of the challenges that Native Americans face. I don't know what sort of problems and challenges and prejudices Native Americans face in this country, but I know that Elizabeth Warren hasn't faced them. I know that she is not Native. Tribal citizenship, what is she talking about? That has nothing to do with it. She lied about her race because she thought it might help her out. Now she's very sorry that everyone found out about it. Why doesn't she just say that? She's such a liar. It would be impossible for me to care less that Elizabeth Warren listed her race as Native American in the 80s. If she just came out and said, oh, I did that stupid thing, I'm sorry that I did that, that would be fine. But the attempts to lie about it and muddy the water and pretend, oh, yes, well, I am really Native, like, just the desperation involved in grasping to this lie is... I mean, it is beyond absurd. What are you doing? I might have to go fast through this last one because I'm in a hurry. And there are just so many awful things that have happened to the Democrats in February. There's just almost not time for all of them. All right, so next up, number 8. Now another 2020 Democratic candidate is going through the ringer. Yesterday, these stories came out that Amy Klobuchar is verbally abusive to the people who work for her. I'd hate to have to be the staffer who drew the short straw and had to tell Amy Klobuchar that the stories were breaking as she gets set to announce her candidacy. You'd be like, Miss Klobuchar, there's a story in the news. Well, several stories actually that say you're verbally abusive to the people who work for you.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
I think maybe we could get ahead of the fallout if you were willing to...
Of all the idiots, in all the idiot villages, in all the idiot worlds, you stand alone, my friend.
The truth is, and the reason I chose to talk about this, is that this is a much worse scandal than she probably knows, and that most of the media understands, right? The media might be kind of blasé about this, but people will remember it. Okay, compare it to the Elizabeth Warren scandal. Nobody really cares if Elizabeth Warren listed her race as Native American. Lots of people out there are going to pretend to care, but honestly, nobody is really harmed by that. And so, like, really, no, it doesn't hurt it. Nobody cares. Maybe a few people care. You know, the people she's apologizing to, the people who are in charge of the tribes and in charge of who's Native, I'm sure that they actually are hurt by that. But vast majorities of Americans are not harmed by it and therefore don't really care. Mostly it's being used by most people as just a political bludgeon. But, I mean, we all understand that it was a scummy thing to do. It's the equivocating that makes people genuinely mad. The actual deed itself, nobody cares that much. If she had just apologized, everybody would have forgotten. But this Amy Klobuchar thing is way different. Almost everyone in this country has had a boss that made every day a miserable day in hell. Right? The alarm clock goes off and you lay there in bed thinking, God, I have to do it again. I have to show up and take whatever that person decides to dish out. This is a deeply personal issue for people. Telling a lie that you're Native American when you clearly are not 30-something years ago is just a deeply stupid and kind of funny issue at its core. Not verbally abusing the people who work for you. That is not funny to anybody. I mean, why do you think everybody loves the show The Office so much? I mean, that's one of the most popular shows I can ever remember. The reason is because everyone relates to it. That idiotic work environment, that character who can't be professional and makes your life a living hell because you have to go to an office and spend the day with that person every day and there's nothing you can do about it. That resonates with everyone who has ever had a job in their life. And that's why finding out that Amy Klobuchar treats people this way is going to be a major turnoff for people who might have voted for her. Alright, so there you go. There's a horrible thing for every single day in February so far. Next up, Democrats are going to agree to $2 billion for the wall, it looks like, in early reports. That's less than Trump asked for, but it's more than $0, which Nancy Pelosi promised that she was going to stick to. Which she would have stuck to if anybody really believed that walls were immoral, but nobody really does. So, stay tuned on that one. That's it for today. I hope you enjoyed the show. Send me an email. Please subscribe on iTunes. Leave a review on iTunes. That's it. I'm out of here.
No, go past this part. In fact, never play this again.
You just listened to Politics for Patriots with Eddie Zipper. Email the show at patriots@eddiezipper.com and please subscribe.